I was gonna ask you too, is so like whenever you start it, like how you did now, instead of having us up on the screen, are you able to put the video up first and then after it's done, put us up?
Not
Oh,
live.
oh, that sucks.
Not live. So on a unfiltered version like this, it's all just as is. You can go back in and
You
edit the
have to do
video.
it.
Yeah.
I got it.
Take a break inside your head to get a hold of yourself. But it's over now. I was missing everything and I forgot I felt. So many days I found, many questions I have I can't answer myself. And I just don't know how to make it right. Instead I live with things I never would tell. Never tell. All the good and bad things quickly pass me by. I don't know what I miss till I open my eyes. And I can see it all. I can feel it all again. Hope I don't lose control. And repeat this all again.
Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's
What's
Friday,
going
January
on?
9th, 2026, man. And tonight we are talking about the recent head coach firings, the NFL coaching carousel that happens every single year. Only this year just seems like it's even crazier. We're also going to bring into you the wild card weekend matchups, predictions, what we think about this year's matchups, and who's gonna take the crowns. And then later on in the episode, we'll get into this upcoming NFL draft because the top 18 picks are locked in already, and I think there is quite the controversy that's already going on right now with what people should do with their picks. And so yeah, we'll get my take, we'll get Cisco's take on tonight's show. Everybody, welcome aboard.
Welcome.
What's up, dude? What's up, dude?
Not too much. Hey, I before we get started, I just wanted to say my youngest son, he's in love with our intro song. He's like playing that all the time on his iPad, jamming out to
R-
it. Dude,
Really?
it's so funny. Yeah, it's so funny. Like it plays, he starts like headbanging.
Damn, that's
It's
awesome,
pretty
dude.
cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. I know
But
I think my family's kind of burnt out about it right now just because I listen to it all the time.
well, I mean, you know how like little kids are, they could watch or listen to the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Over and over again,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
I see
That's him.
I see we got ourselves a little clippy clip, huh? Got yourselves the haircut.
I did.
The
I
beard
did.
is
I had
nice and
to.
shaved. Damn, son.
Trimmed up, lined up. Shout out to my barber, Barber Ruben, Presidential Cuts. Hit him up.
Ooh, Ruben. All right. What's up?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what I didn't even check is see if we could do uh do TikTok live. I didn't even check to see if we could do that. So I guess while we're getting into all this, we can kind of see if it's possible to go live on TikTok.
Yeah.
Can't make any can't make any guarantees, but we can always try and see what it does. I wish there was a way to like add a source. Or what about your phone? Do you have like a am I able to invite you somehow
I could join, but like it's through my phone. It wouldn't be through the iPad.
through the iPad so it'd be like two different things at once or
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Would that work or would that not work?
Well, like the microphone would like loop, so like you'd hear that the echo, the loud pitch.
Yeah, cuz you don't have headphones on.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, let me see. Maybe I can. Here's what I don't understand is how I can on here. I don't know how I can. Maybe I can add a source.
Or no, it wouldn't work.
What is it?
Because I was gonna say if I join your live and just mute myself on my phone, but it wouldn't hear me.
But then it wouldn't hear you on your side, right? Like
Yeah,
anyone who tunes in from your TikTok.
right.
Well, let's see. Maybe we can. I don't know. Maybe we might be able to get something here. It says window
Dude,
capture cap.
we've been on 6 minutes already. That's crazy.
I know it doesn't even feel like it, right?
No,
Let me see if I can get this to pop up real quick. And add source. I wonder how I can get it to zoom in on you. Let's only one way to find out, my man.
do it.
Only one way to find out. Let's see here.
Yeah, because it worked pretty good when it was just you.
Or you know what? There's a cropping mode. Maybe I might be able to do it on the cropping mode. Yeah. There we go.
Yo,
There.
Steve, is that Steve or Caleb? Can't see.
Come on. All right. Now the question is how do I blow this up? I got you cropped out. Oh,
You
there we
live?
go.
You live right now?
There. No, not yet. Fixing to be. Fixing to be. All right, go live.
Dad,
What?
he's recording. No, he isn't. Get out. What do y'all want? He's not recording.
Yes, I am.
Oh. Jesus.
Jesus. I hear that. Can you hear them or no?
Yeah.
All right, we live, pimp. We live.
All right, let me see. We outside.
That come out all right?
Yeah, I can see it.
Brother, I need 2 screens, dog. That's what I need. I need 2 screens. All right, we good though?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Raw and truly raw and unfiltered right here, pimp.
Raw and unfiltered.
Jackie said me with the kids. Like, be quiet. Quiet
She
on the
on
set,
YouTube
please.
or what?
Quiet on set. Jackie is on YouTube, yeah. But folks, we are live on TikTok, baby.
Live on TikTok.
Live on TikTok. Well, cool, man. So again, let's go ahead and recap here. We're gonna go ahead and start off with the NFL coaches that got fired this
Crazy.
weekend.
Crazy. Some
I say
some
I say this weekend, but it was
some couldn't clock out.
yeah, yeah. Some were able to make it home. Others didn't even make it out the building. And they were gone, boy. They were gone. And so obviously, right? So the biggest one that obviously kind of shook the I'll say shook the world, but at the same time, no one can really kind of say we didn't see it coming is John Harbaugh. But you got Pete Carroll getting let go from the Raiders. You got Jonathan Gannon from the Cardinals, Kevin Stefanski from the Browns. Obviously, we knew about Brian Callahan and we knew about
Riley.
Brian Dayball because those happened throughout the regular season. And then I think honestly, the one that really shook me the most out of all these firings was Raheem Morris. And then obviously at the time when we created this image, it was McDaniel still had a job, but the most recent firing was Mike McDaniels, which, as everyone knows, right, the Miami Dolphins fired Chris Greer earlier in the season. And then they went ahead and parted ways with Mike McDaniels, which kind of threw everyone for a loop because there was uh, Ian Rappaport from ESPN came out and said that McDaniels was going to be getting he was going to be able to help search for the new GM. But then it was said that they met up on Tuesday and had a quick meeting. Stephen Ross didn't like the way that meeting turned out to be. I guess maybe he's still kind of questioning some things. And then ultimately end up letting them go right after that meeting. And so that was kind of like the weird shakeup there, but just
Well, and
just
then
a
I don't know if you saw. Supposedly they're in talks with the new GM. He was like a VP of player or something for I forget who it was. The Packers or Seahawks or something like that, or Vikings
yeah.
or
So
someone.
yeah, they just picked up the president of player operations, something like that, from the Green Bay Packers.
Packers,
I
yeah.
didn't get his name off. I don't remember his name right off the top of my head, but so obviously they picked out a new GM now. Earlier in the day, or I should say yesterday, they were talking about another candidate that apparently has links and ties to John Harbaugh.
Who's that?
And I'd be lying to you if I told you his name. I never heard of his name before.
No, you're talking about the new GM.
No, no, not the new GM that they just chose from the Packers. Before it posted that they made this move to go ahead and hire the new GM, they were talking about GM candidates.
Oh, I
And
got you. Okay.
one person's name had came up that I guess people around the league kind of already knew who that was, who had prior history and relationships with John Harbaugh, and so a lot of people were thinking that he was going to become the new GM, which obviously would have tied Harbaugh back into the head coaching conversation to potentially reunite with him in Miami if that ended up going out, to be what it was. But obviously it didn't shake out that way. But obviously the big takeaway here was that within 45 minutes, it was reported that within 45 minutes, 7 teams had reached out at the time. There was only
There
six
was
head
only
coaching.
6.
Yeah, there's only six head coaching vacancies, and one of those six was already the Ravens included. So thinking about it realistically, that means that there's actually two teams
2.
that were actually interested in John Harbaugh with having a head coach on their roster already. Now, one that comes to mind is obviously Miami, but just get your personal opinion. Who do you think that other mystery team was that was willing to take on an interview while they have a head coach under contract?
So, well, before we get into that, I just want to say on TikTok, it's still that picture's still up. I don't know if you can see it or not. So you
Oh
can't see
no.
my face. But no, so I mean, obviously, so that was before the Dolphins firing McDaniel. So I think that was the first one, the Dolphins. Excuse me. I think the second one is highly likely the Bengals. I think that's a highly likely candidate that reached out because of course Zach Taylor's been on the fence for a couple years now. More so this year, even though they said they came out and that they're going to keep him, Same thing happened with McDaniel. So I think that was that last mystery team that we're not sure about. I think that's going to be the Bengals. I don't know your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, so my thing was is the one that stood out to me the most, which let me get this taken off so maybe we can see you.
Yeah, this is the money shot. This is where you get the views.
Oh, that is funny, bro. Let me see here. Hide and unhide. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. There's the star of the show, my
Yeah,
guy.
my guy.
Um, she said, "Chill. Those are my views, dog." That's what she said. She said, "Chill."
We
So
need
you
those
can't have.
roses, babe. We need
So
those
you can't have my
roses.
goodies. Need those roses, yes. And Tori, she's my niece. I appreciate the roses, girl. Thank you so much. And if you're still watching, I love you. Thank you. We appreciate all the
Thank you, thank
support.
you.
But anyways, man, so yeah, so the team that really stood out to me that I thought that could potentially be looking out is the Jets that still had a head coach because there's a lot of people that were still calling regardless, they're still calling for Aaron Glenn's head because this season didn't show very much promise. It felt
Yeah,
like he's
potential.
I don't want to say he lost the locker room, but it kind of felt like he did.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, they're just the lack of nobody got better. That's the scary part. And then on top of that, you had no interceptions all season, so you had pretty much no turnovers really, outside of any fumbles that you may have caused. But still, it's just like it just does not look very promising. And if you're the Jets owner, you have to be asking yourself with a candidate like John Harbaugh, who posted what 17, 18 seasons with the
18.
Ravens, right? Won a Super Bowl. What is it like 7 or 8 AFC title appearances, or 7 or 8 AFC North champions, something like that. Multiple AFC championship
Championship.
appearances. It's like, okay, do I want how much do I trust in Aaron Glenn with these next 5 picks that I have over the next 2 years? Do I trust Aaron Glenn to make sure that he's drafting and developing these prospects? Because in theory, if they draft all 5 of those picks and they don't trade any of them away, you you're talking where most of these tenured head coaches, man, they're going to be a Super Bowl contender with those 5 picks. Because obviously that doesn't include what they'll do in free agency. But if they draft correctly, I mean, you're talking about drafting a quarterback, uh, a wide receiver, an edge rusher, and a safety, and then you still have a pick left over to choose where you
Yeah,
want to go. If you want to, I mean, you already got Brees Hall, so you don't necessarily need a running back. But even if you wanted to restart there, trade away Brees Hall too, hit another running back in the draft,
yeah,
that's something that you can do. And the crazy part, again, you have to remember is that all first round picks are 5-year contracts.
yeah. So that kind of locks him in.
It kind of locks
Not
them in.
necessarily, but yeah, I see where you're going with that one. No, I
So
mean
that's who I think. That's who I think the other team is.
that's definitely a good take considering how they finish this. I would say finish how they played throughout the whole season, right?
Yeah.
They did end up finishing with no picks, right?
Yep. Yeah. First
Yeah.
team in
See,
NFL
so
history to finish off the entire season without catching one single interception.
yes, and coming from so if like you said that you think Jets is a other team, it would make sense, right? Because Aaron Glenn's a defensive guy. You would think the defense would step up or be good, right? But only team in NFL history to finish with no interceptions. You know, granted,
Yep.
I know they traded away Sauce, but still, that's you still have other guys on your squad to be able to pick up.
Well, regardless, though, you still had Sauce at the beginning of the season. You had him for like
Right,
7 or 8 games before you traded him
right,
away. And even with that, you still had posted no interceptions.
right. So I mean that goes to question: can he coach like the whole squad? You know, because that defense didn't even show up for him.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good good call.
Yeah, I think for sure.
Jinx.
Um, Now, just out of curiosity, right? So while we're on the topic of the head coaches, so you got to look at the teams that are available right now for head coaching positions, right? You got the Miami Dolphins, you got the New York Giants, you got the Cleveland Browns, the Baltimore Ravens, Arizona
Raiders,
Cardinals, Raiders,
Titans,
and
Falcons.
and and the Titans and the Falcons. So that's eight different teams right now outside the Ravens, because we obviously know what the Ravens possess in terms of talent. Okay. Outside the Ravens, which team do you think is the most um what's the word I'm looking for here? What's the most attracting team to you? If you were a head coach, which team would you want to go to?
Well, I'll let you answer first because we have the same answer, but I want to give a different answer. So I'll let you go ahead and take that one so I could pick a different one after you.
Well, and we can agree. We can agree, but maybe for multiple reasons. But for me, it's the New York Giants, hands down. Just because I think that they have a lot of untapped potential that didn't get exposed yet in the season. Right? You think of the talent that they have defensively. They just drafted Abdul Carter. Burns just had the season of his life. I mean, probably one of the best seasons of his career, but he's still young and up and coming too. Right? You hit in the draft when you got Scattaboo and then you got Jackson Dart. You have Malik Neighbors that's fixing to come back, so he's going to be your bona fide number one. You have a young and up and coming tight end, so it's like, and you have a really great offensive line. So you're already stacked in the trenches on both sides of the ball. You got offensive weapons already. Maybe they could look to, this year in the draft, maybe they could look to either go somewhere in the secondary or get Malik Neighbors, another wide receiver, to line up the opposite side of him. And so, from a head coaching perspective, especially whether you're an offensive mind or a defensive mind, you're set up either way, right? If you're a defensive minded coach, I want to take New York because they have all the talent there. They're already stacked offensively. So, all I got to do is just hire the right guy for the job in terms of my offensive weapons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Drawing up a good offensive scheme. So, for example, the likes of like a Mike McDaniel's obviously is going to be revered right now as one of the leading offensive coordinator talents, if that makes sense. I mean, it's
Yeah, I
already it's
mean,
already been reported that Detroit Lions have already reached out to him wanting to get him on
yeah,
board, which I totally agree is the right move.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, so there's a public poll out there on this coaching position, which coach should take the teams that are available. Excuse me. I mean the public has for the Giants John Harbaugh the highest at 37% likely to get that job. And
For the New York
then they
Giants.
have for the New York Giants, they have
Okay.
Kevin Stefanski at 26%, and then they have Cliff Kingsbury at 12%. So that's
See, and
just
here's
based on a public poll.
yeah. And let me just say something real quick and I'll pass it back to you. I don't think Stefanski has earned the right to have a head coaching position next year. That's just my take on it. You had all these quarterbacks, you've had all this talent, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And you've done absolutely nothing with it. You've made everybody worse. What
for
have you
sure.
shown us to the American public? What have you shown us that shows you know how to develop your players, whether it be a quarterback, a wide receiver? Name me one person that he drafted that you sit there and say, man, Stefanski owns that guy. He's the reason for that. You can't.
Yeah, no, that's true. Which why I think John Harbaugh will probably fit best with the Giants because he has that experience, which I think the Giants need, is that experience that we're talking about. They have all these weapons, right? But John Harbaugh
Right.
going in there, he has those experiences that we're talking about, 7, 8 AFC championships, Super Bowl, 18 years with the Ravens. So he has all that experience that the Giants need to get over that hump. Which I hope they don't
Hmm.
because they're in my same division. So don't listen to what I'm saying.
Oh,
Giants fans.
they hearing, dog. They hearing.
um, but no, the team that I think is one to go to or seek after is Atlanta Falcons. Um, because they have great offensive weapons, right? You got Bijan Robinson, you got Drake London, you got Kyle Pitts, which no one has been able to use them effectively. And then, of course, we have this quarterback on if we're to get Penix or Cousins, which I'll probably get into that later. But and then on the defensive side of the ball, I think that they're pretty stout there. So I think that's definitely a good team to go after in coaching. I mean, because they honestly didn't do too bad this season, even though they didn't make the playoffs. They finished with the same record as the other two teams in their division. So, I think that's definitely a good one to go to.
Yeah, for sure. I was trying to see if I could do like a poll, but I don't even know how to do this shit, brother.
Well, and for the Falcons, they have the percentages for them too. They have Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks. They have him at 22% to get that job. Then they have Stefanski at 19%. Then they have where's that? I missed it. Matt Nagy, right? I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, Matt
The
Nagy.
offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. They have him at 12%, and then they have Harbaugh at 12% as well. So that one's a little bit
Interesting.
more close race. Out of all the polls from these teams, that's the most closest race. Them and the Browns, but
I got you. I would again, I think that they really do need to stick with John Harbaugh. I think John Harbaugh should get the vote when it comes
dude, I mean,
to the New York
I
Giants.
think all these teams, I think all these teams are gonna go after him. That's for sure. I mean, because
Oh
they
yeah.
all called him within 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's gonna be
Under
up to him
review.
on where he sees fit, on where he wants to go. Which I mean, just looking at the teams, um, the Giants is probably the best one. Which I mean, I said the Falcons, but just overall, I think Giants is the best one because you have that young talent too.
Right. Yep. And I'm gonna give up on doing this poll thing. I typed in my poll and it says that TikTok has to put it under review. You know, we already got
Oh my
flagged on
gosh,
TikTok.
when right now?
Right as we went live, we got flagged because it said that whenever I put the head coaching firings, the image
Oh, I
that we
have the
created,
picture.
it says that it was a copyrighted image. I'm like, bro, made this
I made
myself,
that
dog.
image, dog. Yeah.
Made that myself, dog. Chill out, brother. Chill out, brother. You crazy. And it says for that reason, we're not going to advertise your live. I was like, oh my God. Just trying to shoot a brother down, dog. Shoot a brother down. That's what
Dude,
they're trying to do.
trying to keep us down so we become
I'm
successful
telling you, bro.
podcasters.
Telling you, man. They think we're crazy up in here, dude.
I
Um,
mean, we are, but
yeah, in a
it's all
sense.
right.
In
It's
a
all right.
sense.
It's all right. Ooh, QT. What you got in there?
Yeah. Got some coke, man. Got some pure cane sugar
Some
coke.
fountain coke. Mm,
Some fountain coke,
fountain
bro.
coke is good.
Best one is from
Some good stuff.
McDonald's though.
Yeah, they have the perfect recipe.
Yep.
That
Yep.
ratio, they got it down. They got it
Yep.
down.
Well,
And the
and
Sprite.
and Well, and I don't know if you know this, but um, Coke actually has a specific recipe strictly for McDonald's only. That's why it
I
tastes
did know
different from
that.
McDonald's.
I did
Yeah,
know
little
that.
fun fact for the crowd out there if they're listening. Whoever's paying attention, right? Fun little fact there.
Man, I love McDonald's so much I can eat that every day.
I don't know about all that, but I mean, I used to work there, so
So
it's different.
true,
Yeah, I used to work
true.
there, so it hits a little
Much,
bit
much
different, you
too.
know. But there was no like, you know how when someone works at a fast food joint and they tell you like, oh bro, I never eat there because they tell you all the nasty shit that goes on behind the scenes that you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
McDonald's, I can guarantee you 100%. When I worked there, the place that I worked at, there was never any of that stuff going on. So
I mean,
I
it could also depend on management too.
what's that?
I mean, that could also depend on management on what they let slip, or they let the
Oh
employees
yeah.
get away with.
Well, and it's definitely a different environment than what it is, or it's a different environment now than what it is
That's
back then. You still have the same age of kids, it's just the kids act totally different, nowadays than what they did back then. I'm not sitting here saying that we're, you know, mature in our own way, but we definitely didn't do some of the crazy shit that people do now.
yeah. Yeah.
We
You
definitely
you
didn't go down like that, dog.
yeah. You knew not to cross that line.
Yeah, there's some shit that we just were
Yeah.
like, no, no chance in hell we're doing
Yeah.
this, brother.
Yeah.
No chance in hell. But
That's
hey,
funny.
so real quick, so going back to the teams, right, that we are looking at to see who's available. There's one particular team that nobody's talking about that I think that is going to be a very good pickup if they get the right guy in there. That I think is playoff ready. Just depends on they just need to figure out who they're going to start quarterback wise. But the Atlanta Falcons job, I think that should be a very close team to pay attention to of who they look for because that team right there, man,
Those
is
that was my
really
team, dog.
good.
That's what I said.
Oh, oh, my bad, my bad. While you were talking, I
You're
was doing
dozing off,
everything
dog?
else on the side. No, I was doing everything else on the side. So it's kind of hard to, you know,
No,
do
nah.
everything all at
No, but
once.
yeah,
But
I said the Falcons because of like we said the quarterback either panics your cousins, but you got Kyle Pitts. No one's been able to really use him like how he's supposed to. Got Drake London, Bijan Robinson, and then the defensive side of the ball is good too. So that's and like I said, they had an 8-9 record, which three teams in their division had too. So it wasn't too bad, So they definitely have that potential.
well, and that division's always so soft in terms of the record. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like again, you got the Carolina Panthers going with the losing record, and no matter who team you pick, whether it would have landed on the Panthers, the Bucks, or the
or
Falcons,
Bucks or a
all of them
losing
had
record.
8 and 9 records. They're all losing records, and so
Yeah,
and it almost seems. I mean, you think about when what was it last year? They went to the playoffs. The Bucks did with a 9-8 record. You don't have to win
yeah,
very many games in that division to make it to
in
the
that division.
playoffs.
Right.
So when it almost kind of hits you even harder when you don't because you only have to win so many games, for all those head coaches in that division.
Yeah.
But but yeah, so I think that one would be a good pick up there for the next head coach too. Is I think the Falcons should be another sought after job. Um, but we'll see how it goes. But
Yeah.
let's keep this train rolling, pimp. Let's go ahead and go over to the wild card weekend matchups, brother. I'm kind of nervous to
Yep.
even
I
show
got
the
them all
photo.
lined up.
Kind of nervous to even show the photo, pimp. Yet
I mean, but
again, another photo
they're
that we
different fonts.
created. Yes,
Different font.
TikTok. So just so it's another picture that I created. Okay, this isn't something I got off the internet. We created this photo. But okay, so looking at the wild card weekend matchups. All right, you got the LA Rams versus the Carolina Panthers, 3:30 on Fox. You got the Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears, 7 o'clock p.m. on Prime Video. Buffalo at Jacksonville at 12 noon. Man, that's crazy. It kicked it off again.
It's
Is it
still
back
on
on us?
TikTok.
That's interesting. So San Francisco versus Philly at 3:30. Chargers versus the Patriots at 7 on NBC. And then you got I don't know why that came out as SF, but you got New England Patriots versus the Steelers and Texas. Oh,
San
actually,
Francisco.
it got the things
Oh,
wrong
oh
here.
yeah, well,
Got the yeah, that's all
yeah,
jacked up
New
right there,
England,
pimp.
and so it's not copyright.
Yeah, it's definitely not copyright, pimp. But anyways, man. So which matchup do you like the best? Which one are you considering to be the a good matchup for you there?
I mean, my team's in the playoffs, dog. So I got to go with my team.
Outside your team, pimp. We all know that. Crowd knows that.
I don't know if Chad knows that. No,
Chad knows. Jackie knows.
yeah, Jackie does know. Man, oh, honestly, I'm gonna I'm I don't think a lot of people are gonna pick this one, but I'm probably the game to probably watch besides my Eagles is the Texans versus Steelers. Reason why I pick them as a game to watch because they're playing on Monday night. And if I'm not mistaken, Mike Tomlin is undefeated on Monday night. So I know that doesn't really matter, right? 'Cause it's playoffs, but him being undefeated on Monday night, they're playing on Monday night. The Texans defense is stout against the Steelers offense. And then I think it's a pretty even matchup with the Houston offense and Steelers defense. So I think that's a real good game to watch based on those stats there. What do you think?
For sure. For sure. No, man. So I'm gonna gear up for that Buffalo versus Jacksonville because I think that in terms of these matchups here, the one of the matchups that stands out to me obviously is or the quarterback matchups is going to be how is Josh Allen going to be able to fare against that defense against Jacksonville. For me, I think that's going to be the big ticker there because obviously with Mahomes not being in the playoffs now, with Jackson not being in the playoffs, Burrow not making it for second season in a row, a lot of the guys on who are giving you the most trouble outside of the Texans are no longer in the playoffs. And so to me right there, I think all eyes are going to be on Josh Allen because I feel like he is the quarterback who has the most pressure to win out this entire postseason. Again, just given all the facts that I just stated, right? You have your kryptonites are not in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
So, you should be expected to kind of go all the way, which holds faith or holds true to my early prediction Super Bowl pick, which at least half of it's right. I still got the Bills going to the Super Bowl, and so um, not to mention it's going to be a road game. And if I'm not mistaken, Josh Allen is winless in the playoffs on the road.
Oh
So he
wow.
doesn't he's never posted a win on the road before. So I think again, just another now cool thing is that you're going down to Jacksonville, so the weather's gonna be lovely. So it's not like you're
Yeah.
going to play in
Yeah. They got to
Buffalo
worry.
in
Yeah.
10-degree weather or something like that. You know what I mean? So weather's not going to be a
Yeah.
factor for these guys unless it rains or something like that. But you know, again, that's the hot matchup in my opinion right now is because again, Josh Allen's never won a road playoff game before, and then with all the circumstances that none of the guys that we mentioned before in the playoffs, that's obviously the big picture there for him.
No, for sure. No, and I definitely have Allen as far as the most pressure, um, along with Mike Tomlin. But to start off with Allen, because just like how you said, There's no Lamar Jackson, there's no Joe Burrow, there's no Patrick Mahomes, right? So this is his chance to prove himself. And I think the only expectation for the Bills right now is Super Bowl bound. That's like the only expectation now since all those three are out, right? Just like you said, it's his kryptonite. So with
Mm-hmm.
that in mind, right, that the fans and um, analysis, I think are kind of saying the same thing that they got to be Super Bowl bound now this year. With that, so which he definitely has the most pressure out of all quarterbacks in here to go to the Super Bowl. I think anything short than that would be a failure for him, which obviously, right? But the other pressure that I have is Mike Tomlin. The reason why I said say Mike Tomlin, right? Because even though he's 23-0 in the on Monday night, just like how we said last episode, he has a losing record in the playoffs. So
Mm.
the same reason why I think he had the most pressure last game, right, to keep his job. I think it's still on throughout this whole playoffs to keep his job. Um, like I said, because he has that losing record. So he'll have the most pressure as a coach to win throughout this whole playoffs. And then obviously Allen as quarterback, he definitely has the most pressure.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, I got off of TikTok, bro. It's too difficult to navigate through that shit. It's being
Right.
a it's being an a hole to me right now.
Oh,
So
because of
I
the pictures or whatever.
well, because you keep freezing, your window keeps freezing and everything, and so it's really just driving me nuts, man.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
Driving me bonkers. So we'll just go
Well,
straight off of YouTube.
so as far as I don't know if you want to get into predictions.
Well, let me just respond real quick because you made a comment about Tomlin still being on the hot seat. Because I totally agree with that take. I think that he is on the hot seat. He's definitely not off because, and for me, I think for him, the level of success that he'll need to keep his job is AFC Championship game.
Yep.
Just getting one win alone is not going to be enough to salvage his job because you do
Right.
have to factor in the fact that we don't know if Rodgers is going to play next year. We don't know that.
Exactly.
And if he decides to retire, I mean, for sure he's not on the roster. He only signed a 1 year deal. So whether you win or whether you lose, at the end of the season, you're back to where you started last season, which is no quarterback. And you
Yep.
didn't lose enough games to get a high draft pick. So you're going to have to be forced to settle in for something else. Now, they obviously did draft Will Howard, which we don't know how he's doing. We don't know how he's developing as a quarterback behind the scenes. Um, as far as I saw that he's not even QB2. I think he's QB3 behind
Oh yeah, behind Rudolph.
behind Mason Rudolph. Yeah. So we don't know how that's going. Hopefully it's going well for him. But again, I think he needs to take the Steelers to the AFC championship in order to maintain his job. Where if he loses that game, as long as it's not a complete blowout, as long as it's a competitive game, I think that they'll stick with him again the following season.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you've seen some crazier things happen in the NFL, and we don't know what's going on. So, only time will tell at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right?
No, yeah, it's definitely yeah. Yeah, like he definitely has the most pressure throughout this whole playoffs to keep his job for sure.
Yeah. So you said you want to get into talk about predictions, right?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, let's talk about that, pimp. You got any
So,
you got anybody on upset
well,
alert?
I was gonna go through all the games if that's cool.
You could definitely go through all the games. But I
I was
just
gonna go
I
in
just
order, like on some rainy game times.
I just want to know if you have any upset alerts real quick though, dog, before you just go game for game. You obviously got your list there. I
Um,
want to know. I gotta know, dog.
I mean, I don't necessarily know if they're upsets. I'll let you decide. I'll let you decide.
Well, just think about it, right? So you got the
So
LA
the
Rams favored to win. They're a 10.5 point favorite. That would be an upset alert if
okay.
you got the
So
if you got the Panthers beating the Rams.
okay, so we'll go like that. So you tell me the who's favored, and then I'll let you know if there's an upset.
Yeah. All right.
So
So
the first
again,
game,
yep, let's start there.
yeah, first game, you said the Rams are favored. I have the Rams winning, right? Uh, Reason why, because Stafford wants another ring, plain and simple. This boy wants another ring. So I got them. I got them taking the Panthers, even though they lost early in the season. Playoffs is a different story. So definitely got the
Agreed.
Rams. Who, d-
All right.
who,
So Green
okay,
Bay
so
versus
you got the Rams
Chicago.
too.
Green Bay versus Chicago. Green Bay is favored by 1.5.
So this is an upset. I have the Bears winning.
I got the Bears winning
I
too.
have the Bears taking this. I have the Bears winning
Yep.
because I think with the loss of Kraft and Parsons, the Packers are the same team.
Yeah, I think they're
They
too
they can't
depleted.
fare throughout the playoffs without the yeah, without them they can't they 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 can't compete throughout the whole playoffs. Um so I definitely got the Bears winning there because Packers aren't the same. So there's an upset there, especially because Chicago's playing at home too.
Yeah. And then so there's no favorite on this one right here, pimp. With the Buffalo
The
Bills
Bills and
versus the
Jags.
Jacksonville Jaguars, there's nothing on it yet,
It's even. It's even. That's fine.
which is I mean, they are very even. Like look at this, right? Okay, so just at a glance, okay, the Bills are averaging 28.3 points per game, the Jaguars 27.9. Their point differential is
Dang.
plus 116 on the Bills, plus 138 from the Jags. Their records in close games: 5-3 for the Bills, 6-3 for the Jags. Average margin of victory: 12.6 for the Bills, 14.2 for the Jags. Where they
That's a
differentiate is
even
turnover
matchup.
differential. Yeah, turnover differential is where they kind of separate themselves. You got a +1 for the Bills and +13 for the Jags. Total points: 101 versus 128. So I mean, it's a very even matchup in terms of where they're at.
Yeah.
It's going to come down to pure quarterback play, I think, how well they face up against each other's defenses. Um,
Yeah.
for me, obviously, I'm going to trust experience over inexperience. So I'm going to go with
Yeah.
Josh Allen in this one. But for me, I feel like this is just going to be a straight up dogfight. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think that Trevor Lawrence does go off, and throws for at least 3 touchdowns. But I think in the end, I think Allen
Yeah.
comes out on top. But this is going to be one of those games where you don't walk away questioning nobody, right? So for example, the big question mark right now is on Trevor Lawrence. How well can you
Yeah.
play in the postseason? Because the last time we saw him, he didn't play so well. I don't think that we're going to walk away questioning whether or not he played his ass off. I think it's just going to be a straight
There's
up
just two
dogfight.
teams slugging it out. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's definitely yeah. I mean, it's definitely even matchup there. I have the Bills taking it too because, like I said, I think this is Josh Allen's time to prove himself in the playoffs to get that Super Bowl bound because that's the only expectation there is for him. So I
Hmm.
definitely got the Bills there.
Yeah, and I'm not
What you
joking.
got
There
next,
is
Doug?
no live odds on this game. That's crazy. It's the only.
That's
I think
crazy.
it's. I think it's that one, and I think Houston is the only two games that don't have live odds on them. So San Francisco versus Philly. Philly is favored by 6.
We already know who I picked, so we can move on.
Well, Well, let me just go ahead and tell you, pimp.
Um,
I think that the Eagles are on upset alert this game, brother. I hate to tell you that. But I just think that the wave that's going on in San Francisco, I think that just everything that's going on with that team, as it even states right here, in close games, they're 5-1. I do think it is going to be a close game. I think it's going to come down to the trenches, who controls the line of scrimmage more. And right now, just with everything that I've been watching with the San Francisco 49ers, right? They have a running game. They have a passing game. They're excellent in screen passes. They're excellent in play action. The defense, albeit that they're battered and beaten up, there's a chance that Fred Warner comes back and plays in this game, if I'm not mistaken.
uh,
His timeline,
they
his
said he's not.
timeline is a little bit different. They said he's not. Did they to come out and post him on the injured reserve list, or
Yeah, yeah. They said he's not because he's still on the IR and like he's able to run and stuff like that, but he's not about.
gotcha? Yeah, I
But
still I still think
but
that I'm gonna give them the chance. I'm gonna give them the edge.
but so the other reason why I have the Eagles winning, not only because of my team, but they have their full starting lineup coming back. You got Lane Johnson, our right tackle, coming back. He's missed 6 7 games, right? All road tackle. So that's definitely gonna help our line. You got Leonard Dickerson's gonna be playing, so that's awesome. On the defensive side, Jalen Carter is gonna be playing. No Kobe Dean's gonna be playing. So we definitely got gonna have our squad back in full. So I think we're gonna be able to see them ball out. And like you said, it's gonna be whoever controls the line of scrimmage. And I think we all know the Eagles D line knows how to control that line of scrimmage. So their capabilities there, I think will overturn the 49ers.
And folks, just so that way we know, man, the Indiana Hoosiers are going to be facing the Miami Hurricanes January 19th at Hard Rock
That's
Stadium
gonna be a good game.
for the
That's
national
that's crazy because
championship.
it's a home game for Miami, right? The Hurricanes,
Pretty
but
much, because
it's
they
also a
they
home
play
game
in that
for
stadium.
yeah, but it's also a home game for Mendoza because he's from Miami.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, that's be
Damn it,
crazy.
boy. I didn't know that. Man, what a crazy game though,
So it's
dude.
gonna be.
I think the final score, I
I
didn't, I'm
wasn't
trying to
able
see
to
if I
catch.
trying to see if I can catch it, but I think it was 58-22.
Let me see. I'll pull it up right here.
Mendoza, I think, threw for five
56
touchdown
22.
passes. 56-22. God, what an
Jeez.
ass whooping, bro. Ass whooping.
5 touchdowns.
They made Oregon look
He threw
retarded. I
for
mean,
five
Dante Moore
touchdowns.
throws a pick six, first play of the game, and then fumbles the ball at like the 1 yard line. Like, oh wow. The turnover battle, bro. What's crazy, dude, is that they talked about that all pregame was not turning the ball over, not turning the ball over. Don't beat yourself. Let the other team make the mistakes. Let's play our ball. Crazy. Anyways, going to be a
Mhm.
great matchup. Stay tuned for that. January 19th, Miami, Florida, Hard Rock Stadium. Anyways, back to the wild card weekend, man. So you got Chargers facing New England in Gillette Stadium. New England's favored by 3.5. Who you got?
So I also have the Patriots winning this game because I think the Patriots are going to prove themselves that they should be in it. I think Mike Vrabel is going to rally these guys up like y'all are it. Y'all are it. So I think the Patriots prove themselves that they should be in the playoffs. I think they take the Chargers.
Wow.
I don't think it's going to be an easy one, but I got the Chargers.
I got them on upset alert, dog.
I mean
That's what I
I mean
got. I think
I
that
got the
they're
Chargers.
absolute
I got the
frauds.
Patriots.
Totally biased because I'm a Dolphins fan and they're in the same division as me. But I think that the New England Patriots are absolute frauds. I think they are, bro. I think they are. They played some of the weakest competition all season long. I've said this many times already that they're victims of something that they cannot control. They are literally the victims of the schedule that they got released. And I get it. You still got to win those games, and credit to them for winning those games because it takes a village, right? You're not just going to do it off of one player. They have themselves a team. I'm not going to lie, but I just think that at the end of the day, with it being the playoffs, and you're going up against somebody like Derwin James and Khalil Mack and those boys out there, man. Like I think that that's just going to be, not to mention, God, what's that defensive tackle? Tart. Tart is just unreal on that interior, bro. He's unreal on that interior. So I think that's going to limit the run. He can still get after the quarterback. Then you got to go up against Derwin James and Khalil Mack, whether those guys are out in coverage or whether they're rushing the passer. They can do it both ways. They're not one sided for either one. They can do it both. They can blitz or they can play the coverage. You pick your poison. And I think that going up against and LA doesn't have like the most lights out defense, but they are a stiffer competition than anybody that they've played outside of the Bills.
The, yeah. Well, I think we went over this a few shows ago. The best defense the Patriots faced was the Steelers, based on stats. That was the best defense
Yeah.
they faced was the Steelers. So I mean,
Yep. And so
obviously going into this game, Chargers would now be the best team that they face. Um, but I still have them taking it because I think that talk around Drake May, he's a really great quarterback. Um, but
no doubt. No doubt.
that's where I have them that's where I have them stopped at though.
Gotcha. Yeah. 100% agree with you.
I
Drake
don't have
May, great quarterback. I think he's excellent in between the ears. And I think that's what's hard to find in
yeah,
a lot of these
that's
quarterbacks these days.
yep,
He's excellent in between the ears.
yep,
Now, again, I
yeah,
just think that I think that they're going to be overwhelmed at the again just about how stout this defense can be. And I don't know that they're necessarily ready
yeah.
to or I don't know that they're prepared enough to be able to withstand something like that. Now, I could be dead wrong, and if I am, that's totally fine. Just a simple belief of mine that I think that they're going to get completely humbled this weekend against the Chargers. And I think that Herbert finally gets his
Well, I
shine.
mean,
That's just my take on it.
well, and I think too because of Patriots having Josh McDaniels on their offensive side. He's a great
He's very
coordinator.
creative,
So I
very
think
creative.
yeah, I think he could game plan something better on the Chargers. But um, if the Patriots lose, what I think they'll lose by is that they don't really have a great receiving core. I don't think where like obviously you have Stephon Diggs, but it's not like they're gonna stop that part of their game, and if they can't get that going, I think that's how they lose, is by the Chargers stopping the receiving core.
Yeah, and you think about it though, the real unique thing about Josh McDaniels with the way that he runs his offense is he doesn't necessarily need studs in order to have his offensive scheme execute properly.
Yeah, do good.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
don't need absolute bona fide studs. And I think you go back to the course of the career with Brady whenever Josh McDaniels was there. At the time, I mean, he had Julian Edelman, which was a slot receiver. The dude was like 5'10, and
yeah,
that was essentially like his one was a
yeah,
slot receiver. You know what I mean? And then of course you got Gronk, which is your tight end, but then they have Hunter Henry. So and Hunter Henry's looking pretty good. He can get open, he can catch the ball, he can run, things like that. So um yeah, that's the really neat thing about having a guy like Josh McDaniels calling your plays is that you don't necessarily need to have pure raw talent in order to execute your plays properly. I think he draws up a pretty easy scheme in terms for players to be able to perform and execute it. where it's not
Yeah.
overcomplicated. You
No,
know what I
for
mean?
sure.
But let's move into the last matchup.
Well, and
Go ahead.
no, 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 go ahead, go ahead. Move on.
Okay. Yeah, so last matchup, again, there's no odds favored on this one right now just yet, but Houston going to visit Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. Who you got, dog?
I got the Texans. I think the Texans defense is too much for the Steelers offense.
Agreed.
Now, if they play like they played against the Ravens, I still don't think they could take the Texans defense.
Here's what it's gonna go down to. Here's what it's gonna go down to. It's gonna go down to CJ Stroud. That's who this whole entire game is gonna be completely predicated on how well CJ Stroud plays. If you get an average
Yeah,
CJ
which
Stroud, you win the game. You just have to be average. You
yeah,
win the game. Simple as that.
yeah. And I mean, it also really depends what Steelers defense goes out there because I've seen them perform very well where they look like the best defense in the league. But then there's also a majority of the games where they're just like total opposite. So it really also depends on what Steelers defense goes out there um, to to play that game. So it's I think that side of the ball, the Steelers defense and the Texans offense, that's a more even matchup than vice versa.
Yeah. And offensively, I mean, the Texans average 24 points a game. The Steelers average 23 points a game, 23 and a half. So it's 23.8 to 23.4. So very evenly ranked offensive matchups. But in terms
Offenses,
of defense, obviously the Texans do have the better defense. But that's why I say it's going to boil down to how well CJ Stroud plays because make no mistake about it. I think that obviously Aaron Rodgers, regardless of any defense he plays, if the offensive line can keep him a clean pocket, he can carve out a defense easily. He can carve out a defense.
yeah,
Whether he's got to change protection at the line pre-snap or just kind of understanding where his players are going to be at that time. And then just kind of throwing, he definitely loves to throw those balls in tight windows. That's one of the things that he predicates himself on is his ability to do that too. So even if he doesn't change protection at the line, that's still something that he has another tool that he has in his bag that he can put on display. And so CJ Stroud. Now here's something that isn't any that nobody's really kind of mentioning, nobody's really bringing up is and I might be kind of going out on a reach with this, but what happens with CJ Stroud if he plays like shit this weekend and the Texans get eliminated, to know that your defense was so stout this year. You had basically the best defense in all of football that is Super Bowl caliber ready. And all you had to do was be average, and you couldn't even do that. And there's a lot of people that were already questioning him as it was because when he went down with the concussion and Davis Mills stepped in, Davis Mills won them 3 games in a row. And Davis Mills started
yeah,
talking about how he's respected in that locker room and then how he's also disrespected amongst other NFL teams because they kind of gloss over him because he's the backup quarterback and obviously because of the way things went down when before D'Amico Ryans got there, when he was playing with Lovey Smith. And so
yeah,
um, they're saying that he's a much better quarterback than what people give him credit for. Now, I bring this up because this year is year number 3, which marks all of the third year players. So like CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, all those guys who were drafted 3 years ago, this is the year where teams have the option to pick up your 5th year. And so I'm kind of curious to see if the Texans lose in the fashion that I think that they may, which is CJ Stroud not performing very well, do we look at the Texans potentially trading away CJ Stroud? And maybe I don't know. That again, that might be a reach. It might be a reach, but it's not out of a realm of possibility because I think that even most Texans fans would even agree that they've been questioning CJ Stroud since last year. And that
Yeah.
they've only have that even through this year, it's only brought out more questions. I don't know. What's your take on that? Am I
No,
reaching?
I mean the no, I mean because but the only issue, right? They lose, and obviously if they end up wanting to trade him, I don't know how much value he would be considering teams know how he plays in the seasons. Which the only great season he had was his first one. So how much value would he get off a trade?
Well, I think at the very least, he's still worth a second round pick at the very least. I think it'd be a reach to get a first round pick out of it. But if there's anyone that would be willing to potentially burn a first round pick, it'd be the Jets because they have so many of them
Yeah, I mean because they need a quarterback and they need a
and they need a
quarterback.
quarterback.
Yeah,
So
no, I mean
that's
that
definitely
that definitely makes sense. Now that you say it.
something to look out for. You know, it's definitely something to look out for Monday night as we watch this game unfold. If the Houston Texans lose, is I think all eyes revert to Houston, and the question becomes, what are they going to do about CJ? Because
Well,
for
and
sure they're going to pick up
CJ
Will
Stroud's playing
Anderson's.
for his job.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Because um, CJ Stroud's playing for his job, and Mike Tomlin's playing for his job. So it's like they're both going to be fighting it out.
and
You know, both
Rogers
teams.
and Rogers is playing for legacy, dog.
And Rogers, right? Right. Yeah, because we don't know if he's done or what. Personally, I think he's done, but we don't know.
Yep, remains to be
We don't
seen,
know.
man.
But
Remains to be seen.
but based based on the picks that I have the divisional matchups based on my picks. So it would be the Bills versus Broncos and the Texans versus Patriots, Rams versus Seahawks, and the Eagles versus the Bears. And I kind of told you this earlier before we got on. Not necessarily a hot take, but something that's probably not going to be viewed greatly as is. I have all away teams winning the divisional matchups based on my picks. So I have the Bills beating the Broncos. I have the Texans beating the Patriots. Have the Rams beating the Seahawks, and I have the Eagles beating the Bears.
Interesting.
So all the way teams pulling the win, in my opinion,
And
if everything follows
that's
the way
for
it
the
goes.
following week.
That's for the
That's for the
following
following week,
week.
right? Yeah, which would be the
Following
divisional
week,
matchups.
divisional
Wow.
matchups based on my picks we did on the wild card.
Yeah. Now
So
that
then
would
that would
be
mean it'd be the yep. That would mean it'd be the Bills versus Texans and then Rams versus Eagles, which I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but we'll wait till after this weekend.
yeah. Which I think that if the Bills play the Texans, I think Josh Allen goes down.
Well, and so based on my picks, I have the Bills facing the Texans in the AFC Championship. Based on your picks, you would have the Bills and Texans in the divisional matchup.
No, well, no matter which way they meet, if they meet up in the divisional matchup or if they meet up in the AFC Championship, if the Bills play the Texans, you can book it. That I think that unfortunately, I say it unfortunately like it's a bad thing, but I wouldn't be upset either way. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not a fan of either team in terms of who I root for,
It's just such a great defense.
but you obviously every who doesn't like Josh Allen first off. You know what I mean? And then who doesn't like
Yeah,
defensive teams like the Texans to just go out there and win it all? I would love to see it.
yeah,
And plus, I think that the Texans deserve it, man. I think that they, that. that whole organization in general, man. Just you look at where it's been, where it's come from, and how they fought, and just everything behind it. And it's like, yeah, dude, that would be cool for them to make it to the Super Bowl and actually win one finally.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I know I ranted about Josh Allen last year, but he's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. He's definitely like you said. How can you hate Josh Allen?
oh
It's
yeah.
he's great. He's great at ball. He's a funny guy. Cool guy. So, how can you hate the guy?
Did you see that video of him and Paul Skeens meeting each other?
No.
So the
Uh-uh.
Paul Skeens just recently went to the Bills facility to go meet up, and
Uh-huh.
it's funny, bro. They stand side by side. They look like brothers. And Paul Skeens is asking Josh Allen. He's like, "Hey, man, you ever play baseball before?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I used to play baseball growing up as a kid." He's like, "But then just football became my thing, and I just kind of stuck it out with baseball or whatever, or with football." And he was like, "Were you any good?" And he was like, I wouldn't say I was good, but I was all right and whatever." And it was just funny to see them standing there talking about it. But then um I saw the comment section, and it was like it was like Paul Skeens looks like Josh Allen in another life. Like on a side quest mission. Is from a different Paul Skeens is
Oh my
Josh Allen from a different dimension that came into to not only dominate football, but then to dominate baseball at the same time.
baseball.
Just because they look like
That's funny.
they bro, they look almost identical. Is kind of crazy. And Paul Skeens, dude, he doesn't get enough credit for how fucking big of a monster this motherfucker is. This dude's like 6'5", 6'6".
Jeez,
Yeah, 200 and something
that's
pounds. I
crazy.
mean, that is a man, ladies and gentlemen. That is a man,
Massive.
massive human being. And to think that this dude's throwing, 104 miles an hour at your face, whew, scary, scary, bro, scary. But anyways,
Scary.
man, let's keep this train rolling, man, because we kind of got into
I
talking
don't
about a little bit
I don't
of
want nothing
of the.
coming in my face.
Hey, whoa, 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 whoa. But no, man.
You
So we
said
kind of
104 my box about your face.
yeah, but we kind of got into talking about a little bit about the draft. And I think before we get into the draft, I think we need to talk about maybe um some of these players, because a lot of teams have to start clearing. This is the time of the year where they have to start either making contract adjustments. They have to either release players to meet cap space. And so just kind of got me thinking of who's going to have the highest cap hit in the next season. And boy, you would be surprised at what some of these guys are making. And so let's go ahead and pull that up real quick and look at these highest caps for next season. And so obviously the one that tops off the entire NFL next year is going to be Deshaun Watson, which is obviously going to be the biggest, has the most eyes on it, with Deshaun Watson at $80 million is what he's set to go up against the cap next year. Ooh, what happened, my man? My boy left. Ladies and gentlemen, my boy left. I think he got kicked out. Now the question is why does my screen keep going away? Very interesting why it keeps going away. We'll hold off. We'll hold off and see. Hey, there he is.
Reconnecting, it said.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, it's all good. No, so I was just gonna say that obviously the one that stands out the most is Deshaun Watson, who's set to have a $80 million cap hit next season, which is just outrageous. But the Cleveland Browns really have no choice but to kind of just eat
Hmm.
that money, right? But what do you think? What do you think goes on there in Cleveland? With obviously they're going to have a new head coach in the system. They're keeping Andrew Berry as the general manager, but they're going to bring in a new head coach. And so, what do you think happens there? Obviously, you have Dylan Gabriel, Shador Sanders. We obviously know how that all shook up this season. It was kind of like a just total chaos.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're gonna have to eat it. So with them eating it, I think they're gonna keep Deshaun Watson because they wouldn't want him to leave, go somewhere else and perform where they still have to pay him. So they're gonna keep him, but obviously the question comes with the new coach coming in, and you have Sanders and you obviously have Watson. What do you do from there? You know, do you have him fight for the spot, or do you just give it to Watson? Right. So, I think it really depends on who's gonna come in as a head coach. Will make that decision whether they fight it out or they pick Sanders or they pick Watson. Which on the Browns coaching side, I don't think I got into that. Based on that public poll, they have Jim Schwartz at 21% likely to get that job. Right. So obviously he's the defensive coordinator right now of the Browns, but they have him likely to get that head coaching job. So I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, personally, what I think they are going to do is they're going to put Deshaun Watson back in the starting lineup and have Sanders as QB2. So that's what I think is going to happen. But I mean, it'll definitely be interesting to see what that decision will be. You have them fight it out, or you just have them have Deshaun Watson go back to QB1? Because
Like
I
an
think they're
automatic bid.
right. Because I think they're still going to keep him no matter what, because they have to pay him all that money. Because there's no way they're not going to have to pay it. So they're not going to want him going somewhere else and performing well.
Yeah, for sure. No, and so if we the further we go down this list, right, the next one that kind of catches my attention here is Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. Now, Kirk Cousins finished off the season as their starting quarterback because I don't remember what happened with Penix or if he was just playing bad and they kind of benched him or whatever. But obviously, Kirk Cousins set next year to make $57.5 million as your QB, as potentially as your QB2. Here's my take on this whole situation in Atlanta is I felt like Kirk Cousins should have never lost the starting position in the first place. That's just my take. Now I know that there was public perception and everything like that because obviously they drafted Michael Penix in the ninth, with the ninth pick or whatever in the previous year's draft, and so they want to see like, hey, what does the young kid have? And at the time, Kirk Cousins was obviously coming off of that Achilles injury, so he wasn't as mobile as he was. But if we take a look at Aaron Rodgers and how he performed coming off of his Achilles injury, it took him a little while to get acquainted to that
Yeah.
and everything that went down. And I think that's kind of become the standard now, more or less, with these Achilles tears, is that it's like, hey, it's going to take you about a year to kind of shake off the rust.
I mean, especially
My
their age.
Yeah, but my opinion, Kirk Cousins has it up here. And that's where I feel like Michael Penix needs more time to develop. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that Michael Penix doesn't is not a starter in the NFL. I think he is a starter in the NFL, but I think that just based on everything that we've seen with the way that these quarterbacks develop is they develop better as QB2,
Yeah.
not throwing them in there as QB1.
Yeah.
Now, if they can mix up a couple of starts here and there, like how they obviously did this season, where they started Penix and then they ended up finishing with Kirk Cousins, then I think that's a little bit of a different story there.
Yeah.
But my personal opinion is that whoever's going to come in here and lead this team next as the head coach should definitely want to have Kirk Cousins start. And if you're not going to start him, then I think that they need to trade him because I think that Kirk Cousins shows that he does still possess some value, especially for a team that is in a win now situation where maybe they just have some question marks at quarterback.
Right. Which are we like sharing notes or something? Because like I wrote this down here and like you're like looking at my notes, huh? But
No,
no,
man.
I definitely had Kirk Cousins. I highly doubt this would happen, but just like you said, right? If they're not going to put him in starting position, trade him, right? And what team do you think could use a quarterback? Obviously, there's a few teams, but one that he came from, the Vikings, right? I'd really like to see Kirk Cousins go back to the Vikings, right? Because we could say the QB spot there is vacant with JJ McCarthy always getting hurt, right? So,
and
um,
still clearly needing more time to develop.
exactly. So going behind Kirk Cousins, just like you said, you develop better as a QB2. Why not Kirk Cousins? Why not behind Kirk Cousins, where you said he has it in here, right? So him going back to the Vikings, developing JJ McCarthy, and I think the Vikings are a QB away, right? Their
And
defense is
here's something else that they don't talk about. I don't think Kirk Cousins sold his house up there. I think he still has
uh,
it.
interesting.
Yeah. So you might be onto something there, man. I could definitely see something like that happening.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he obviously came from there, so there's already familiarity there. He already knows majority of the players, so it's. I think that's the best fit for him at this moment. So I think they should trade him.
Tell you
Um,
what, you think Justin Jefferson would appreciate having him back? I
oh
think
yeah,
so.
100%.
And I think that's something that the Vikings definitely need to take into account is they need to sit Justin Jefferson down in the offseason and whatever that dude demands, we're gonna go out and pursue.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, but that's the guy that you need to take care of. Hands down, 100%. You cannot afford to lose a Justin Jefferson.
Oh yeah, it's a
But
franchise player.
my but my god, dude, it's like you can't sit here and go through the same issues that you suffered with this year where it's just like who's throwing him the ball?
Exactly,
There's nobody consistent throwing him the ball.
dude,
And
and
at
it's
least
like
with Kirk Cousins, it's like, you
he's
know,
throwing the ball.
outside of the Achilles injury, he was there every single game.
Hmm.
And then it's really going to make you look bad because again, you had Sam Darnold there and you let him walk for nothing. And look at where he's at.
Right,
He's in the
first round
playoffs,
bye,
had himself another 13, 14 win season while you're sitting at home on the couch eating a bag of chips watching Sam Darnold play.
which it's literally the same team just without that quarterback. So they are a quarterback away.
Yeah,
So it's like
100%.
it's a no brainer to get a quarterback, and why not Kirk Cousins with when he's already familiar with everyone. So it's literally a plug and play, and you're already back to where you were.
Yeah. No, so that definitely makes sense. And then so we go down one to number seven, obviously, right? Tua Tagovailoa. We obviously know what's going to kind of happen there. Miami's definitely going to be done with him. I think that they cut him after the roster thing. I think it's like June
Yeah,
1st or something of that
yeah,
nature.
something. Yeah,
I don't think that they're going to necessarily take the. I don't think they want to take the $99 million cap hit. I think they would prefer to take the $67 million cap hit.
yeah,
But that's something that was talked about. Ian Rappaport was saying is that, whoever they were interviewing with these new GMs is that was one of the things that they were interviewing them on was is what the GM is like how do we handle to the Tua situation? Do we cut him now? Do we cut him later? Do we keep him? Do we trade him? What do we do? And I think that was one of the things that Stephen Ross was listening in on during these conversations. That obviously whoever they picked from the Green Bay Packers must have had a good plan in place as far as what his thoughts were on how he would handle the Tua situation.
yeah,
Um, Otherwise, I don't think that he would have gone with that person had he not had a pretty stout idea as far as how they were going to handle that.
yeah.
But man, just it's crazy how Tua's whole tenure kind of just got
Funded.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I
mean
mean,
they. I don't even think they
you,
could trade him for a bag of stale chips.
I mean, he's definitely not a tradable quarterback.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, he's not tradable. No team is going to pick up because they're not going to want to pay that contract. The only way that teams would trade for him is if Miami is going to pick up some of that contract.
yeah,
And I think at that point, Miami would just rather just kill it. I think they would
Yeah.
just release him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like they don't want to have that stain on their reputation of like if they do end up trading him and let's say he does by some divine miracle thrive in a new place that they don't want to I don't think that they want to deal with the whole Russell Wilson thing,
Yeah.
where it's like, hey, you're paying for a player to play somewhere else, but then have a reverse. Russell Wilson wasn't performing where he was,
Right.
you know. In this case here, we're just kind of, you know, hypothetical situation. We're saying that what if Tua has by some divine miracle, some crazy comeback season or whatever the case may be. I doubt it. It's difficult for a left-handed quarterback to perform really well in the league, I feel like.
I think we see him in the UFL next season.
Hey, maybe he'd make a great UFL quarterback. You know what I mean?
Maybe. Maybe.
I mean, look at what was his name? Josh McCown? McCown?
Yeah, McCown. Yeah.
I mean, that dude was a QB2 at best in the NFL and is like a future Hall of Famer of the UFL. I'm serious.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember he came in one game. I think it was for Carson Wentz, like a long time ago. When Carson Wentz got hurt, he came in. It was a playoff game. Obviously, we lost, but
Yeah. Well, and I got one more guy on this list that I want to get your personal take on. I gave you my take on the Tua, so now I want to switch it over back to you. But the last guy that comes to mind on this list is Kyler Murray. Give me your thoughts on that.
so I don't think he's there next season, especially with this open spot and head coaching. Now, whether they trade him or not, that's a different story. That it's hard, but I mean, I do have a take on the Cardinals because I know we're gonna go into like drafting and stuff like that. I know Cardinals have the number third pick, right? Now, I don't think they draft a quarterback at number three though, right? So they're not gonna have. So in my opinion, I don't think they're gonna have Kyler Murray. I don't think they're gonna draft a quarterback at three because likely Mendoza and Moore are getting picked the first two picks. Um, but I feel like the Cardinals are going to see who's available on the market. And I could honestly see someone like Patrick Willis going to the Cardinals, the backup for the Packers. I could see someone like him going to the Cardinals. But what happens with Kyler Murray, he's not going to be playing with the Cardinals next season. But whether he gets traded or released or what have you, I honestly think he'll probably get traded because I think Kyler Murray could still ball. Um, I think these injuries are just stuff to sit out, kind of like I don't want to say faking an injury, but like, like I'm not gonna go out there and play for them. So
Yeah.
I think he is still tradable quarterback, but I definitely don't see him playing there.
Gotcha. No, it makes sense. I don't see him playing there either. I think that, but my take on the whole thing is that I think that they can find a suitable trade for him. Now, where
Yeah,
that's to, I have no idea.
yeah,
But you know, I could definitely see something like that happen. I don't know that they just completely release him.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think
I
they
don't think
find
they're really
I think
him.
they find a suit I think they find a suitable trade. Now I think that they may trade for a pick.
Yeah,
What that pick would be, who knows? I think he's probably at best a second rounder, but if I had to make a wild guess, I would say a third round pick is probably what you'd get for him in a trade. You would just have to kind of see more or less like who's available in that
yeah,
third round, and is it worth it at that point, depending on how well you hit? Because, right, they do have that third pick or whatever coming up in the draft. And so it'll be pretty interesting. It'll be pretty interesting to see because just like there's the whole head coaching carousel, I think there's going to be a little bit of a quarterback carousel happening this season just because of all the high cap hits. Now,
Right.
moving away from the players, strictly talking about the cap, is any of this starting to become a repetitive process where maybe teams start to realize that it's almost impossible to maintain these crazy um, contracts long term?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously have to come from the league, right? Because they obviously give them that limit, and obviously everyone wants to get paid, right? Quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, linemen,
Yep.
defensive players, they all want to get paid, right? So it's hard to give someone so much money when you're trying to build a whole team, right? Because you have a 52-man roster that you're trying to build for this cap, right? So it's, I mean, it's really gonna have to come down to the league to kind of see like where they should be. But I know we talked about this about baseball because they obviously don't have any caps, and we saw the Dodgers win with the talent that they had. I don't think that's something that we would want to see, right? Because we want to see
No,
it,
no, for sure.
right. We would want to see it evenly across, but I mean they the league definitely has to give these teams room to be able to like, hey, because obviously they want to get paid. So like how do we pay these players? And I mean
Well,
the whole
let me give you a different perspective and see how maybe you might change your answer from here. Okay. How do you think that Philip Rivers performed in the few games that he came back?
um I feel
What
like
would
he
you,
was
if you had to grade him from like an A or a B plus or a C plus, what would you grade his performance in the 3 games that he started or whatever?
I'd go like a B plus A minus.
Okay. Now, just taking a look at just taking a look at some of these contracts that these guys have, especially these guys with the highest cap hits, right? Deshaun Watson. Would you say that Philip Rivers in those 3 games played better than Deshaun Watson has since he's been in Cleveland?
Since he's been with Cleveland, yes.
Okay. What about Patrick Mahomes? Probably not, right?
No,
Lamar Jackson.
no.
What about Dak Prescott?
You gotta ask me
It's
about
question.
Dak Prescott, right?
It's
No,
questionable, right? Jared
no.
Goff, Kirk Cousins.
Uh no. Kirk Cousins is well with the Falcons, I'd say uh Rivers is probably better.
Okay. Tua.
Tua, give me Iguodala.
Josh Allen,
Josh Allen,
Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield.
Rivers.
Those are your top 10 highest cap. And there's at least 3 or 4 of those quarterbacks that you could argue that he played on a level that is equivalent to them. And so you're talking about a guy that was out of the league for 4 or 5 years, or 3 or 4 years, whatever it was, that was completely out of shape. I mean, this dude had a straight beer belly and everything. Couldn't throw
So
the ball more than 20 yards down the field. And so my
so
thing
I
is that they're go ahead. Go ahead.
I think I know where you're kind of going. Um like so obviously these players are getting paid based on what they performed, right? So now they're getting that money now, right? But they're not performing now. So I mean what it should happen, which I think the route you're trying to say is they should be paid based on how they're playing, right? So like this whole Deshaun Watson $80 million, right? He hasn't performed. He's been hurt, so I think his value should go down, right? So they should be able to negotiate that down based on his performance.
Yeah, I so my whole thing on this is and you're kind of basically getting there, right? But these contracts not only pay them for how they've played, but they're also paying for them for how they will play in the
Yeah,
upcoming seasons, right?
right.
The problem is that somewhere along the lines, it became more about who can reset the market every single time, and it's getting like that across the entire league, right? We
Yeah,
saw it this past year with edge rushers, Miles Garrett, T.J. Watt, Michael Parsons. Every single one of them at the time of their contracts reset the
you
market.
said, yeah,
So, and then you fast forward a couple years back, it was the quarterbacks resetting the market. I remember when it was Aaron Rodgers getting paid, uh, $50 million a year, and then that was like, what? Are you serious? I think it started with Mahomes though. Mahomes with the 10-year, $500 million contract. It was like, what the hell?
yeah.
You could even go a little bit further back when Russell Wilson got his contract from the
The
Broncos,
Broncos, yeah,
how he reset the market on that one. And look at how that panned out. And then again, the Deshaun Watson one, look at how that one panned out. Um, who else is there? The Kirk Cousins, right? He's $57 million owed, and this guy might not even be starting for. I mean, he sat on the bench this year, majority of the year. Then you got Tua, not looking too good, and he's getting paid an ass load of money. Kyler Murray, same thing. And you're starting to see a trend where these quarterbacks are being paid an absurd amount of money and the teams are not getting their return of investment on it. And I get that you paid the player for what they've done, but you're also paying the player for what they're going to do. And I think that it's
well,
only right that,
so
so like what
so,
you said,
so s-
that either they need to be allowed, and I'll give it back to you here in just a second. They either need to be allowed to renegotiate contracts based on performance, or I think you're going to start seeing some of these contracts no longer having big guarantees.
guarantees, yeah,
I think it's gonna
they're
I
gonna be
think it's
little
gonna be based
guarantees
on
with all incentive, yeah,
with a whole bunch of incentives. You know what I mean?
right.
I think and I think that teams are gonna start getting smart because again, might be a hot take and all, but I don't know if there is a head coach out there in this world on this planet right now that is gonna walk into the Ravens locker room and take them to the Super Bowl. Not with Lamar Jackson. I think that Lamar Jackson has hit his cap. He has hit his ceiling with how well and how good of a quarterback he will be. He is a great regular season quarterback. He is not a great postseason quarterback, and he doesn't possess the ability to get you over that hump. Now, obviously, you got so much money invested in him. That's why you get rid of the coach instead of the player.
Right.
But I don't see Lamar Jackson ever winning a Super Bowl in his career. I just don't.
No, yeah. And like to let's say kind of your point, right? Out of that top 10 cap list, I don't know if you put it up for chat. Out of that top 10 cap list for this season, only one quarterback made it to the playoffs. And that's Josh Allen. Crazy. Right? So all these quarterbacks are they have the getting paid the most money this coming year, right? And only one quarterback made it to the playoffs this season.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So essentially, only one quarterback was worth the money that he got paid,
Hmm.
and that's what I'm
That's
saying.
crazy.
And from a front office perspective, from these teams, this is where it gets complicated, right? Is because you dish off so much freaking money to this quarterback, you have no room to pay nobody else. God forbid that you have a star wide receiver. God forbid you have a star edge rusher who is looking to reset the market, or a DB, or a free safety, or whatever the case may be. You can't afford to pay them all.
Exactly.
you know and I mean, some of it too also has to do with these player agents. These agents are becoming so freaking powerful, man. It's unreal, the amount of money that they're demanding. I mean, um let's rewind a little bit to the Micah Parsons trade, right? Well, all the reports came out, even Jerry came out publicly and said, yeah, we had a gentleman's agreement on that, verbal agreement that we were going to sign him to whatever it was, $40 million a year. And they shook hands on it, but it was for a 5-year deal. And then obviously Mulugeta comes into play, because at the time I don't think Parsons had an agent. So he goes and finds an agent and asks, "Hey, is this a good deal?" And he says, "No, this isn't a good deal." Right? And the reason why was is because he was a first round draft pick, so he gets the 5th year player option, right? He was in his 4th year. They had to still pick up the 5th year option. And so you pay as a franchise, if you sign him to a 5-year deal, well, that's technically a 6-year contract because they're going to pick up your 5th year option, which means your 5th year option, you're going to get paid the average salary for your position, right? Which he would have probably made like somewhere north of $35 million a year, right? Maybe you can say 30 between 35 and 40. But then he would have had to play through those 6 years, which would have put him around the age of 30, 31 years old, which is going to be on the back end of your career.
Career
And by then, the average salary that players are going to be making in your position could potentially
be way
push
higher.
north of, yeah, it could potentially push north of 55, $60 million.
Yeah,
And so that Mulugeta opened his eyes to say, like, no, dude, it's a great deal if it was for 4 years, not for 5 years, because they're going to pick up your 5th year option. And so essentially you're getting paid in 2 years from now when your contract actually kicks in and you're getting paid your $40 million a year. The highest paid player in your position is probably going to be at 48.50, and you're going to be at 40. So he's going to be making $10 million more than you. At least in this
yeah.
case here, you take the 4-year deal, you get your $48 million a year, you reset the market now, and then when your contract
You'll
ends,
still get paid.
you're going to be 28, 29 years old. When your contract comes up, you're still going to be on the other side of 30, on the right side of 30, where now you can
Right.
reset the market again. And these agents are becoming so smart in that, and so they're asking for all
You
this
should
crazy
become an
amount of money.
agent,
This
dude.
shit. I mean, anybody can become an agent at this point, from what everyone's saying. Anybody can be an agent. It's just a matter of just knowing somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can just come in and and the player just has to sit there. And I mean, I'll be my kid's agent hopefully one day. If ever he makes it to
Yeah.
the MLB or the NFL, whichever one
It'll
of them
be.
decides to do that, man. It's like I definitely wouldn't mind being an agent for my kid for sure. You know what I mean? Look out for his best interests. I mean, it's only right. But at the end of the day, again, in from a fan's perspective right now, as I sit here today, is it's almost kind of ruining some teams at the moment because
Yeah. I mean,
again,
because
the
you can't justify paying Watson $80 million. You just
right,
can't.
no. Well, you couldn't have
So it's like,
justified paying him the $230 million guaranteed contract in the first place.
yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You couldn't justify that in the first place, but they did it. But those are the contracts that were negotiated with the agent. So,
It's ruining that. Yeah, for sure.
anyways, man. Well, yeah. So I know we kind of got off on a tangent there, but I think that was some good conversation, some much needed conversation, because I think those are some things that of course former players don't want to talk about it, and I know that current players definitely don't want to talk about it because they definitely want their
Oh,
bread.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But in a world today where you're making 30 plus $1 million, 40 plus $1 million, you're talking generational wealth beyond your lifespan, beyond your grandkids' lifespan. And so, how much money do you really, truly, absolutely need?
Need. Yeah.
And I'm gonna always revert back to Tom Brady, who was always willing to take the pay cuts to make sure he gave enough cap space to the team to pay for other star players to come play with him. And it was such an underrated trait by him that is not talked about enough. You want to talk about being smart up here? Well, he was, but he was smart up there because of this. right? He knew how to budget his money. He knew how to go off and if you're smart, you're going to go invest in a financial advisor who is going to go then and invest your money for you. So that way your money
Right,
builds as you get older,
right. Well, and I
you know,
mean, I think that that kind of tells you about like their character, right? Are they willing to like are they there for the
sacrifice.
money or are they there to win? Right? Are they there to win games and Super Bowls or are they just there to make money, right?
Yeah.
And
Cuz it definitely doesn't seem
I know
like
a lot
there's
of
any legacy anymore.
yeah,
No
no,
one
because
plays for
I mean,
legacy.
no, yeah, and I hear it a lot, right? Like, oh, like you got to make your bread, you got to make your bread. Like they don't care about me, blah blah blah, right? I mean, but that just goes to show like what you really care about. Like you're being selfish at that point, right? Like because I mean, playing sports, I think you build like a brotherhood, you know. So building that
Mhm.
brotherhood, you know, that lifelong relationship with like stuff like that, you know, it's unmatched, and um, think people just
But
ruin it just by
it's just because there's a cap though.
yeah,
That's the only reason why any of all this is even a topic of conversation is because there's a cap. Because if we're in baseball, I would tell you take the biggest contract that you can find.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because there's no limit. As long as a team is willing to pay, they can go get whoever they want. Which is obviously, like you said, that's what the Dodgers are doing. That's what the Yankees did. That's what the Phillies are doing. That's what a lot of these teams are doing is they're just going out and they're paying an absurd amount of money for this talent just because they can. And at the end of the day, they're essentially buying themselves a championship ring, which I think is going to pretty soon come to an end because there's been a lot of conversation
yeah,
about them adding in a cap salary with the MLB. Um, whether or
yeah.
not it passes is a different story, but I think it's something that's definitely going to come here in the near future. And at which point you have to then start looking at taking that sacrifice.
Well,
You know what I
and
mean?
I mean the best way I could compare it is like a pickup game when you're in school, right? Like everyone try to pick the best players, right? So it's not fun to play. It's not fun to watch because that one person just wins all the time, or that one team just wins all the time. You know, because
Yep.
they have all the best players. So it's like it's not fun. It sucks, right?
Yep.
Even though I was on the winning team, but
I like it, bro. I like it. I like it. Damn it, boy. Well, let's go into our final
so
topic of the night, man. Let's get into the NFL draft because like I said at the beginning of the show, the top 18 picks are a complete lock. And so obviously number 1 going is the Raiders, followed by the Jets, Cardinals, Titans, Giants, Browns, Commanders, Saints, Chiefs, and then top in the top 10 with the Bengals. Now, there's definitely been some mock drafts and there's definitely been some conversation around the Raiders. I think that's where we're going to start this off right now. Um, with the Raiders, there's been a lot of question marks as far as what they should do with the number 1 overall pick because obviously given the nature of their roster, they need a lot more than just a quarterback. And the question becomes is obviously Fernando Mendoza is going to be the first overall pick in everyone's minds. I don't think there's a single mock draft that where they have, you know, Fernando Mendoza not going number 1 overall. But from the Raiders standpoint, they do ask yourself, is Fernando Mendoza enough to turn your entire franchise around?
so it's not enough to turn the franchise around, but um, you would like to see the Raiders to go into a rebuilding stage, right? So obviously coming in with a new quarterback, right? Brand new quarterback. They're obviously going to have a new coach, right?
Yep.
And then they have a second season running back also along when Brock Bowers is going on his third year, right? So it's all fairly young team, right? Now he Mendoza is not the only thing that the Raiders need. He's not the only person that the Raiders need, but I think that's a good place to start, right? Because you're starting out with new coaching staff. You have that running back, quarterback. You have a clean slate, right? So I think that's where they should start. Even though they do need more pieces, but I think that's a good foundation to start at, so that way you know you're solidified in that area.
I got you. I mean, I could definitely see that. So for me is for me, I think that they should entertain the idea of trading it. And I know that that's something that people are probably going to be like, "Are you fucking serious?" Whatever. Like, I get it, but I think that they should at least take phone calls. At the very least, take the phone calls and just see what people are willing to give up for that number one overall pick, right? Because outside of Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore, which I mean, I don't know if Dante Moore's draft stock just completely plummeted after tonight, but it very much so could have. But um, outside of those two guys, this isn't going to be a very stout quarterback class in terms of draft picks. And if you look at next year's draft, I think that next year's draft has better prospects expected to hit the draft next year. So at which point you take a look and see what are teams willing to give up for this number one overall pick, and see if you can't convert the first overall pick into potentially two or three first round picks. And I think that that's something
Yeah.
that the Raiders definitely need to do because, again, you hit the nail right on the head. They need a lot more pieces to their roster than just a quarterback. So why not see if you can potentially trade that first overall pick to get enough first rounders back in return to where you can get those pieces first? And that way you have the team built and then enter the quarterback because you can always pick up the quarterbacks through free agency or whatever just to kind of get you by temporarily. And we just talked about it. You have Kirk Cousins, that's a question mark right now. You have Kenny Pickett on your roster. I'm not sitting here saying that he's, the next Tom Brady or nothing like that. That's not what I'm saying. Right. But there's a lot of quarterbacks that we just got done talking about that that are going to possibly get released. Kyler Murray's another one of those guys. What if you can enter Kyler Murray for one season? If he gets released
I was
by
gonna
the
say too.
go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off, but I was gonna say too. The first three picks need quarterbacks: Raiders, Jets, and Cardinals.
Correct.
So yeah, I mean that's definitely a good take.
But so take the Cardinals for example, right? What if they open up the phone calls to the Cardinals and the Cardinals says, "Hey, we want your number 1 overall because we want Fernando Mendoza." And what we'll do is we'll give you Kyler Murray. We'll give you our first round pick this year. We'll give you our first round pick next year and the year after.
Dang, you think he's worth that much?
I'm not Kyler Murray isn't, but this isn't for
No,
Kyler Murray. This is for Fernando Mendoza.
right, right.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, you think he's worth that much?
Teams would potentially think so. I mean, they're gonna have more knowledge on his health and conditioning and his throwing ability. I mean, they're gonna have all these crazy analytics that they have on these players. Um, but I think that for Fernando Mendoza, the thing that gets talked about him the most is the thing that you can't provide an analytic on, and that's the mind, right? And if you listen to
Yeah,
everybody who talks about Fernando Mendoza, is that he's smart up here. And how often do you get those? You don't get those
yeah,
very often. You know what I mean? And so I
yeah,
think because of that, he could be potentially worth at least two first rounders, potentially even three. Now, if the Raiders can somehow sneak in Kyler Murray into the whole situation, I mean, just imagine that. You could pick if you get even just two first round picks from Arizona. So you get your pick this year, and then you get an extra pick next year. So you'll have two first round picks next year. There go your pieces right there. You can get your quarterback of the so what you do this year with the third overall pick is maybe get somebody to pair up on the other side with Max Crosby because I think he needs a partner. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You're already living on the edge with him. So I think that you would get another edge rusher to pair up with him. If not, you go secondary, which at that point you can either get Ruben Bain or you can get Caleb Downs. I think either one of those guys, those two guys right there, are probably the best defensive players right now in the country
Well,
that could.
I know that was another topic you had, Caleb Downs. So,
Yeah.
um, do you do you see him going to the Raiders then if all that happens,
Well, if all
or
that happens,
what do you see?
you definitely have to consider. You definitely have to consider again the whole trading away the first round pick is it's a far reach. It's a crazy take. It's a hot take, but it's a necessary
Yeah,
one, right? And it's
yeah,
one that I think that the Raiders are going to do. I think they're going to entertain phone calls to listen to what these teams are willing to offer, and if someone's willing to offer the farm, they're going to take it because
yeah,
they know that they need more pieces than just a quarterback. You know what I mean? And
right,
you got to imagine too at the same time, you draft a quarterback and then what? You have no offensive line to protect him. What happens when you destroy his confidence and it never comes back? Then you just completely wasted your first round pick. At least if you take the option where you get multiple first rounders, potentially a player in the mix as well, well now you can build the team first and then enter the quarterback afterwards. You don't have to care about Kyler Murray's confidence. Kyler Murray is Kyler Murray, and he's already been in the league. He's considered a vet at this point. So it's like it's a done deal. But what you don't want is you don't want to put in a guy like Fernando Mendoza and then go through the same shit that Joe Burrow's going through right now. You know what I mean? But
no,
again,
could definitely see that.
the chances of them trading away that pick is slim to none. But it's just something that
Right,
I think we need to all have on the back of our minds because if there would be anything, if there's a crazy blockbuster like highlight, it would definitely come out of the Raiders room for sure. Now,
trading,
with that being
yeah,
yeah, now with that being said, again, I doubt that they do it. And at which point for Caleb Downs, I think that I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna show you the draft order again, right? So you got Raiders, Jets, Cardinals. We talked about that. They all three need quarterbacks. From there, you go Titans, Giants, Browns. Titans, they're definitely going to get a. I feel like they're either going to get an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, or they're going to go receiver. Giants, I could see them easily going with receiver. I could see the Giants taking Carnell Tate from Ohio State to pair him up with Malik Neighbors. Cleveland Browns, they don't need any defensive players. Washington could potentially draft a defensive player, but I have the Bengals getting
dude. Why are you
Caleb
looking at my
Downs.
notes, dude?
Yeah, I kind of fast forward there, but so for me, I think that because again, I think the first true defensive players that are going to come off the board is going to start with Kansas City, and then I think it goes to the Bengals afterwards. And at which point, you could go either way. Whether if the Chiefs do Caleb Downs, the Bengals are going to do Ruben Bain. If the Chiefs do Ruben Bain, then the Bengals are going to do Caleb Downs. But those two teams right there, for sure, I can almost guarantee are going to pick defensive players.
Yeah. No, and I mean, obviously, depending if the Chiefs pick him up or not, I definitely have the Bengals. They're not gonna pass up on him if he's still available on the board because that team needs a huge dramatic improvement um,
Defensively.
on their defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
On the defensive side of the ball, right? They need a better secondary, right? So I think Downs would definitely provide a tremendous value there because we know the offense can score. It's a defense that gives up more points, right? So yeah, if Downs is still up there when the Bengals when it's a Bengals pick, that I have the Bengals taking Downs.
Yep. And you already signed Trey Hendrickson. So that's a done deal already.
Right,
So you have your edge rusher there. So you definitely need someone to cover the secondary. And so that's why I think
right.
I think Caleb Downs straight up, I think he goes to the Bengals. And hats off to them because they're gonna need to figure something out. You know, I'm even looking at some of these teams like you could potentially even call New York. You can call New York because you know they don't need a defensive guy. right? And maybe see if they're willing to, hey, are y'all willing to swap picks? Who are y'all going after? This is who we want. Who do y'all want? Oh, well, we want this guy. Okay, cool. Hey, would you be willing to trade so we can move up? Because I want to make sure that the Chiefs don't get him, or I want to make sure that the Browns don't get him,
Yeah,
or the Commanders, or whatever the case may be. The Saints, I don't think they go defense. I think that with the Saints, they have receivers, but my thing is that you have an aging Alvin Kamara,
yeah,
and I don't know how much he has left in the tank. And so on top of that, you also are losing Taysom Hill, who wasn't a running back by no stretch of the imagination, but he was always used in some sort of type of way, whether it was through a screen pass to get yards after the catch. Same thing, that it's a similar fashion that you use Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara was, used a ton in screen pass,
yeah.
those bubble screens. So
Right.
I could see like Jeremiah Love going to the Saints. I definitely think the Saints are picking up a running back for sure though.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. Yeah, then you got the Chiefs and Bengals right after.
Yeah. Now the
Dude,
the
just
the other
imagine
question,
if the
go ahead. I'm sorry.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, just imagine if the Giants picked up Caleb Downs.
Dude, that would be nuts, bro. But then what are you telling your offense? I mean, not necessarily what are you telling your offense, but what favors are you doing for Malik Neighbors? I feel like,
Yeah,
right? You've kind of dealt him a bad hand since he's been in the league, honestly. And so I think you owe him
yeah,
a wide receiver at this point. And I mean, dude, their defense is great. They just have poor coaching.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I don't know. For me, I think they need to go offense.
No, I could definitely see offense. I was just throwing something out there.
Yeah, which again, I got them taking Carnell Tate, dog. I could see it all day long, and I think him and Neighbors would pair up perfectly. And I think that they kind of run a similar fashion style offense like the Bengals. How you have those two wideouts like that, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase.
Cheers.
And I think you
Yeah,
have Tate and I think you have Neighbors, man. And I think that would be just an insane lineup to have Tate on one side of the field. You got Neighbors lined up on the opposite side. Then you have Scatterboo in the backfield. I mean, my God, that would be just not. I mean, and that's not even a. That's you haven't even gotten into Tracy and the other running backs. They don't have a bad running back on that roster right now.
yeah.
So they essentially have like a three-headed monster at the halfback position. Look out for the Giants
Let's
to be
see.
extremely competitive next year, as long as they get a competent head coach.
Tyrone Tracy, Devin Singletary. Yep. And then of course you got Scatterboo.
Yep. And he's gonna come back with a vengeance, dog. He's gonna come back head banging and everything, bro. He's gonna be fucking ready, dude. Ready, bro. Bro, I can't wait, bro. I can't wait for Scatterboo to just fucking rip this league apart, dude. It's gonna be awesome.
Not the Eagles, dog.
But so obviously with the picks kind of laid up for the first 18, is there any is do you foresee any surprises happening in the draft? Like whether it be um a bonehead pick or a wild trade, somebody trading up in the draft, anything like that, somebody trading
I
down
think
to get more picks.
I I think the interesting one to see is what the Jets do at number two,
Okay.
right? Because obviously, right, they need a quarterback, but um, like you said, I don't did Moore's stock just plummet after this game, or it's do they trade to get a quarterback, right? So I think that's the one to see is that number two spot. Just like how you said for the number one, right? The Raiders trading and whatnot.
Yep.
I think the same could be said for the number two spot. So I think that's definitely one to watch.
I don't see New York doing anything flashy. Again, I told you about my whole thing with the Raiders. Um, Outside of that, I could potentially see. Man, I really feel like Dallas is going to do something different this year. Not like that, bro. I'm talking
You
about
sure about
like
that? You sure
I'm
about
talking
that?
about I'm talking about potentially trading away their number one pick. I
The
could see
first round
Dallas
pick,
doing something.
number 12.
Mhm. I could see them definitely doing like moving down in the draft because albeit that they need an edge rusher to replace Micah Parsons, they have two more picks next year to do that with. And so the higher the pick, the more money that kid's getting. And as it is right now, they were already struggling to meet cap space as it is, And then with the release of Trayvon Diggs, who knows where they go from there? But then that also makes for another kind of a crazy story there too. What if Dallas tries to trump the Bengals and pick up Caleb Downs? And so I could see the
Definitely need
Dallas
a
Cowboys
secondary there.
either I could see the Cowboys either trading down if they want to hold off for a year, or I could even see them potentially trying to trade up. At which point, who do you trade with? Do you trade with the
Uh,
Cleveland Browns? That could it would have to be. I don't think the Titans give up their pick, and I don't think the Giants give up their pick, who are willing to like swap picks. But I could definitely see the Browns doing
well,
it, the Commanders doing it, and potentially the Saints, because the Saints are the only ones I think in this entire top 18 that are going to be in need of a running back. So I think their pick is protected. They'd be willing to trade down.
I don't think the Commanders will do it, being in the same division. Even though, albeit we saw the Bengals and the Browns.
You see it all the time. You see all these crazy deals happen all the time. You know what I mean? And so that's what I'm saying. Like, if there is going to be a splash, is I think the Cowboys are going to potentially try to trade up, and if they can't go up, then they're going to go down to salvage themselves some cap
Nah,
space.
nah, dog. We need them to not do stuff like that.
You'll see. Well, we'll see. We'll find out in
No,
April.
nah. I mean that's. I mean, a football fan can definitely see that. As far as them trying to make a move or something.
Yeah. Ooh, get a good old net pop.
And
Well, all right, my dude.
well, we got a 2 hour show here.
Yep, 2 hours and 8 minutes.
Man,
So I think that about wraps it up, man. I think this was definitely some good conversation. Between all the firings, the draft order, the wild card weekend, these cap hits that are coming up next
God,
season. And you got to think that some of these contracts are going to get renegotiated too. And that's the reason why some of these caps are so
yeah,
high, like Deshaun Watson, is because they're having a. And that again, remember how we talked about earlier about how it's ruining, like long term wise, it's getting harder and harder for these teams to pay this money is because of the cap hit, right? They always have to end up
they're
renegotiating
having to
contracts.
renegotiate every time.
and they're having to
Yeah.
delay payment on these players so that way they can pick
Push
up
it
players
back.
this season. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you
Right.
can't hide from the fact that you owe this player money and eventually it comes back to bite you in the rear end, and so that's why I think that there definitely needs to be like a reset, or not a reset, but like there just needs to be a realization from
Yeah.
players, and because teams are willing to spend the money. If they weren't willing, none of this shit would even be a conversation. So ownership
Yeah.
has shown that they are willing to pay the money. The problem is that half these motherfuckers didn't, or you said it best. Out of all those players, only one of them was in the playoffs this season. So it's like, is that fair to the
Yep.
franchise? They're willing to
Yeah.
pay you, but then you're
I
not
mean,
willing
the
to
way
show
the
up.
contracts. Yeah, I think I just think everyone needs to come on board with how the contracts are structured, like less guarantee, more incentive, right?
Yeah,
Making the playoffs and whatever have you. So that way they can perform every single year.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it should be based on yardages, uh, touchdown passes,
Performance.
um, quarterback rating, total offensive rating. Picks should definitely hurt you, right? You throw a pick, that should be
Yeah.
deduction. It should be a deduction of your off your pay.
500,000.
Damn. five
Imagine.
hundred thousand
Just
dollar pick,
imagine.
bro. That'd be crazy. I wasn't thinking like that bad. I was thinking more like, I was thinking more like 50K or something, dog, or 100K, 100K an interception. But I mean, I think that
500. Crazy.
I think by having these contracts more incentivized rather than guaranteed. I mean, we're not sitting here saying that, hey, if we sign you to a 10-year, $500 million contract like Mahomes, you know, make half the contract guaranteed, the other half purely incentive based,
Right.
right? That way it's like, okay, hey,
Right.
you're gonna get $250 million. Who would say no to two hundred
For
fifty
sure.
million dollars? Shit, I wouldn't. You know what I mean? Where do I need to bend over? Let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, sign
Let's
me up, dog.
do.
I'll take 250 mil, baby. You know what I'm saying? Shit. You sign me up, bro. Do whatever the hell you need me to do. 10 seconds. That's it. Close my eyes. What's up? But
What's up?
anyways, man. This was great. This was fun. I'm excited. Can't wait to see what these outcomes come out to be this weekend, man. With all these NFL games. It's been a wild little college matchup with Miami. Dude, that Miami Ole Miss game was just awesome. Awesome. That
It was awesome.
you couldn't ask for a better playoff game than that right there. You wish they were all like that. But then the
Yep. It
absolute
was really
blowout
good.
with Indiana. Absolute blowout with Indiana. I don't think anybody saw it happening any differently. You saw all four anchors on college game day. All four anchors chose Indiana for the right reason, because they just knew that they're just flat out better. No offense to Dan Lanning and nothing that he can't do,
Gonna be
but
a it's gonna be a stout defense versus a stout offense.
well, Indiana's got both. Indiana's got both, you know.
Well, yeah.
But for sure
So
with
it's gonna be
Miami,
pretty.
I think with Miami, it's how creative can Carson Beck get. Because I think that's what
Yeah.
he showcased. I think he showcased his creativity yesterday against Ole Miss. I think he had to pull some shit out of his hat in order to make some plays,
Yeah.
because they were down at one point throughout that game. You know,
Yeah.
and it seemed like the tides were kind of favoring towards Old Miss. So it's like, you know, it had people thinking like, "Hey, dude, like, what are you doing? You should be by far the best player on the field right now, given how many years you've been in college." So I think he definitely had to get
Yeah.
creative offensively. You saw him use his legs. He rushed in for that touchdown, for that, essentially, which was a game-winning touchdown. That was only his second rushing touchdown of the season.
Mhm.
So he doesn't rush very often. And so I think that that's something that he's going to have to probably kind of look back on and try to figure out a way to maybe get a little bit creative when it comes to this Indiana defense, because these boys are for real.
Yeah, for sure.
And the crazy part is that
When it gets
Indiana doesn't really blitz a lot. They usually only drop or only pressure with 3, maybe 4 sometimes. That's the even scarier. And they still
jeez.
get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
So your throwing lanes are going to be taken away, and you're going to have to be forced to kind of think outside the box. So again, how
Yep.
creative can Carson Beck get? And that's what's gonna make it an interesting game. But anyways, man, to everyone who watched or whoever is going to watch this in the future, we appreciate you guys. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications bell to get informed anytime that we go live. We try to do this at least on Mondays and Fridays. But yeah, we appreciate everything. Appreciate any comments, any feedback, and then just drop in some topics, man. We'd really love to get y'all's feedback on just some extra topics that maybe we might be missing that maybe you're interested in, maybe you want to get a certain opinion on. So anytime that you can drop a comment on there and just kind of leave us some ideas, that would be very much appreciated. And then yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you guys. Yeah.